Hey guys, Jester here. Today we're going to be going over what if Zuggtmoy, the demoness lady of fungi, before she became the ruler of the 222nd ghastly layer of the abyss, was actually a I cannot pronounce this. Hierophant Druid. That's right, folks. A Druid. Now, before we get into all of this, because this is going to be a wild ride, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell so that you can be notified of when I post videos like this. And so the more subscriptions I get, the closer I can get to getting paid by YouTube for doing this stuff, and therefore the more content I can put out. Hopefully being able to quit my day job. But anyway, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, make sure you hit that notification bell and subscribe. Tell all your friends, share with all your friends, let them subscribe. Yeah, the more subscriptions, you know how that works. Multiples and numbers. Okay. Anyway, here we go. What if Zuggtmoy was a Hierophant Druid? Okay. Now, how do I get that? How do I arrive at that? Well, let's first go into where she is first encountered and described, and that is the Temple of Elemental Evil. Now, on page 123, see if I can turn this right here. On page 123, next to the entry on St. Cuthbert, it says, well, if you'll notice on the entry of St. Cuthbert, it gives his stats, and he's a lesser god, and it gives his armor class, hit points, number of attacks, blah blah blah. Go down, and it says it puts out that he is a cleric of 22nd level and a druid of 8th level. And he's not a fighter class, he's not a magic user or illusionist class, he's not a thief or an assassin class. He is a 7th level monk, and he's not of the bard class. So it lists out all of the classes that he was prior to becoming a god. Okay, you go up right on the next page, Zuggtmoy. It doesn't list anything that she was prior to becoming a demoness. So how do I arrive at that? Well, several things. One, she is surrounded by fungi. It's almost like her druid grove, so to speak. Okay, I did a video last week or so on some of my miniature terrain for D&D on the Greyhawk settings, specifically the different modules, Temple of Elemental Evil being one of them. And so if you want to go check out that video and see my take on what Zuggtmoy looks like in her old crone form, just visit that and watch where I go over the Temple of Elemental Evil diorama. Okay, but anyway, yeah, so she's surrounded by all this fungi, and just everything about her just oozes. See what I did there? Of another thing that would kind of support my belief in that. Okay, and we are going to go to none other than Turney the Merciless. Yes, Turney the Merciless is a Nalfeshni demon that comes from Return of the Eight. And it says that Turney the Merciless Nalfeshni, true demon, former wizard tyrant of Earth. So he was a wizard prior to becoming a Nalfeshni demon. So there are examples in canon Greyhawk where a now famous demon in the Abyss was once prior to that a human on Earth. Okay, in whatever class, be it wizard in his case, or fighter, or druid, or whatever. Okay, and so it's not a far stretch of the imagination that Zuggtmoy, prior to becoming the demoness ruler of the 222nd layer of the Abyss, could have in fact been first a human on Earth. And so again, that's a possibility right there. Okay. Also, one of the things that I've taken to form this opinion and belief is A History and Timeline of the Sulois by Leonard Kafka and Steve Wilson. Okay. Unfortunately, we lost Leonard within the last year or so, I think. So that's very sad. All of us are getting old, and so those things happen. But he produced a lot of wonderful things, and I didn't know him personally, but would have liked to. But in any case, him and Steve created this timeline for the Sulois, and this version here says it's in Earth Journal 11. This was way back when you had AOL.com still as your main and only, I think, source of of communication on the internet. But in any case, in it they describe in their timeline where the Sulois were they were in a fight with the Backloonish, obviously before the invoked devastation and such, and there were these things called binders, which there were nine of them, 9 binders. One had the Genie King in it, and then the other 8 were the elemental princes, evil elemental princes. Okay, and so it didn't go on to describe what the binders actually were or looked like or anything like that, but so it gives room for each DM to interpret on their own, and so that's what I did. And I tied with other materials that have come out since then. I've tied Ayuz and Zuggtmoy with the binders in helping create the elemental nodes in the Temple of Elemental Evil. And again, another source somewhere in the Greyhawk universe lists a tie of where Zuggtmoy actually used the services of was it Bewim? I think is the ooze elemental. I may be wrong. I don't have that list with me right now. But anyway, but yeah. Or actually, do I? Hang on. Actually, I think did I write it down here? I did. Yeah. Bewim is ooze. And just for shits and grins here, I'll go ahead and list out the other ones. You got Ekank was smoke, and Chilimbia was magma, and Cryronax was ice, Inix was fire, Ogremok earth, Ul Hydra water, and Yansi Ben air. But Bewim was the ooze elemental. And so in any case, and of course, as you know, why can't I pronounce that freaking name? Hierophant, whatever, Druids they're they existed in the elemental planes. Okay, and so again, here you have ties between Hierophant Druids being, you know, able to live and survive in the elemental planes, and then you have Zuggtmoy using the elemental princes to create Temple of Elemental Evil, and the elemental nodes that existed therein, and the fact that she's got all of this druidic type persona about her, when it comes to all the fungi and all of that stuff, being around her constantly and everything, and that's what she lives in. So it's not too far of a stretch to take that into she was a druid prior to becoming a demoness. Another thing here that would if you're wondering, okay, well, why or how would she have stooped to such a level, I guess you would call it, because obviously Tyranny the Merciless, he was an evil wizard, and so once he died, however he ended up on the abyss, usually it's death, that they spawn into a larva, and then that just grows into the different stages of the demons until they, and as long as they survive down there, they can achieve, certain status and all that. Which apparently that's what Tyranny did. He reached the status of a now Feshni demon. Okay, but what would a druid be doing in the abyss? And if she died, why would a druid life form spawn into something like that? Because again, anything that spawns like that is evil. Okay, so there was in the I lost it ahead. Fraz Erblu. Okay, there is sources mentioning where Fraz Erblu basically tricked, because he's the god of deceit and trickery, or not god, he's demon of trickery and deceit. He basically conned this sect of druids and into believing a certain thing about their, what they believe in, and in turn they became evil, and going along with Rob Kuntz's Dark Druids modules, they became Dark Druids as a result. And so in my campaign, Zuggtmoy, being that she was a Hierophant Druid, it was her sphere, her whatever you call it, her cabal, whatever, her line of druid, her order, her druidical order. Sorry, there we go. Her druidical order was the order that got tricked by Fraz Erblu. Okay, and so so she became a dark druid, and all the druids under her in her order, or at least most of them did as well, and so there you have how she ended up being evil. And so when she died, then she went to the abyss and went through the whole thing, and now she's a demoness. Okay, so that's just kind of my personal spin history on her, and how she was a Hierophant Druid before becoming the demoness lady of fungi and ruler of the 222nd ghastly layer of the abyss. Now, I'll try to leave links to all of the sources that I referenced in this video in the comments section once I upload the video. If I fail to do that, please remind me, and I will go ahead and do that at that point. And anyway, I hope you liked the video. Again, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell. And until next time, and as always, see you soon.